Revealed, Millionaire's fiancé's shocking cruelty to Maid sparks an incredible transformation. Emma woke up to the faint hum of the city waking up outside her modest apartment. She rubbed her tired eyes and looked around the small, cluttered space that she called home. Dishes piled up in the sink, toys sprawled across the floor, and the scent of last night's reheated dinner lingered. It was another day in her relentless life, a blend of cleaning and raising her 2 kids. She got dressed, slipping into her worn-out shoes, and took a deep breath. Today would be just like every other day, but she could never shake the feeling that it might lead to something more. As a cleaner in a billionaire's estate, Emma often found herself in a world she could only dream about. The manicured lawns and gleaming luxury cars were enough to shake anyone's faith in the American dream. Clara Sinclair, Robert Sinclair's fiancée, was the personification of all that wealth could offer: polished nails, designer clothes, and a chilling layer of cruelty that sent shivers down Emma's spine. One day, as she folded linens in the laundry room, Emma overheard Clara berating Sophia, the elderly maid who had worked there for decades. Clara's sharp words cut deep, laced with disdain, while Sophia stood stooped and trembling, the dignity of her years long stolen. Emma felt something snap inside her. Indignation surged through her veins as she realized this wasn't just about a job, this was about respect and humanity. With newfound strength, she found solace in quick conversations with Sophia. Each moment in the laundry room became a refuge where hope flickered like a candle flame. They shared stories of their lives. Emma learned of Sophia's sacrifices, years spent working for others while her own children struggled to get by. Emma's heart ached to see the light dimming in Sophia's eyes, and she vowed to support her in any way she could, but Clara's punishment was swift. When Emma stood up for Sophia after another outburst, chaos erupted. Clara's wrath unleashed like a storm, and Sophia was unfairly dismissed. Emma's heart sank. Not only had she lost a friend, but her own job now seemed precarious. The weight of her children's needs pressed down, threatening to crush the resolve she had nurtured. With determination igniting a fire in her belly, Emma reached out to her neighbors. Their stories mirrored her own, filled with tales of struggle and resilience against the ruthless grasp of wealth and cruelty. Together, they stood united, armed with signs echoing messages of support for Sophia, drawing a line between right and wrong. They gathered outside Clara's South opulent estate, hearts pounding and voices rising, ready to confront injustice. Just then, Clara stepped out, her icy gaze sweeping over the crowd. Emma's pulse quickened. She felt the weight of 1,000 eyes on her, but she refused to back down. With a burning passion, she stepped forward, ready to expose Clara's wrongdoings. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Clara faced the sea of determined faces, the tension thickened. Emma's heart raced, she felt she was teetering on the brink of something monumental. But just then, as Clara opened her mouth to respond, the truth of a long-buried secret bubbled to the surface, threatening to unravel everything Emma believed in. The air crackled with uncertainty, leaving Emma at a life-altering crossroads. Would she continue to fight for justice, or would fear rob her of her purpose? Clara's lips parted, but before she could utter a word, a commotion erupted behind Emma. A figure pushed through the crowd, urgency in each step. It was Sophia, her face a mixture of rage and stoic resolve. Emma's breath caught in her throat, she hadn't expected to see her friend after the devastating dismissal. "Sophia?" Emma called out, her heart racing with disbelief. The elderly maid stood before the crowd, clutching her old coat tightly around her frail frame. The community's surprise took a heartbeat to settle, their murmurs rippling through the air. "I've had enough," Sophia declared. Her voice harsh against the backdrop of surprised gasps. "Clara, for too long, I've let you trample on people's dignity. Today, I stand with them. We deserve better. All of us do. The tension in the air shimmered, a mix of fear and exhilaration. Clara's face paled, her previous confidence suddenly shattered. You think you can just waltz back in here and speak to me? You're nothing. She snapped, her voice sharp like glass. Nothing? Or someone who knows the truth? Sophia shot back, her voice strong as steel. You may have money, but money doesn't buy kindness. It doesn't give you the right to treat people as though they are less than you. No more. The crowd erupted into cheers, the sense of unity growing stronger with each heartbeat. Emma couldn't help but feel a twist of pride in her heart. Sophia's bravery breathed life into their fight. They weren't alone anymore, they were a force, together against the cruelty Clara represented. I will have you all removed. Clara stuttered, her mask faltering. But the crowd remained firm. Emma stepped forward, emboldened by Sophia's presence. You have nothing to threaten us with. We're standing up for each other, and we won't be silenced. With every fiber of her being, Emma felt the conviction flowing through her. She glanced at her neighbors, faces that were once shadowed by fear now radiated with resolve. They had come together in solidarity. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. As Sophia continued to rally the crowd, Emma's mind raced. This was no longer just about one person's fight for justice, it was a community's fight against oppression. But at the same time, a nagging voice in the back of her head whispered the risks involved. Would fighting this battle cost her everything? Would she lose her job, her safety, the stability she fought to maintain for her children? Clara's demeanor shifted from fury to fear as she retreated slightly. This isn't over. I'll make sure you all pay for this disgrace. She screeched, attempting to regain some of her lost authority. Emma wasn't so easily intimidated now. You've already lost. She shouted back, her voice clear and strong. The crowd erupted in support, chanting louder with each passing moment, but just as the atmosphere seemed to tip into a victorious embrace, a chilling realization swept over Emma. The weight of the future loomed heavily, and Clara's threats might not be empty. What if Clara had connections that could not only hurt her but also jeopardize her kids? As the chants echoed louder, Emma felt a mixture of exhilaration and dread. With everything hanging in the balance, the next step in this journey felt more vital than ever. Would the group's bold stand dismantle the cruelty they faced? Or would Clara awaken a force that would crush their newfound spirit? Emma steeled herself as her gaze locked with Sophia's two women, bridging a profound reality shift. But as hope radiated from the crowd, Emma whispered a silent question to herself: was this the beginning of a revolution or the spark for their downfall? The crowd surged forward, a tidal wave of defiance sweeping Emma along with it. Each chant poured out like a collective heartbeat, echoing against Clara's perceived strength. But it was in this moment, amid the cheering voices, that the shadows of doubt grew darker inside Emma's heart. As Sophia shouted, urging everyone to find their voices, Emma caught sight of Clara's expression, betrayal mixed with something even more unsettling. Was it fear? Determination? Or a deep-seated rage simmering just below the surface? Clara's eyes narrowed, and Emma could almost see the calculations racing through her mind. Feeling the surge of adrenaline wash over her, Emma clenched her fists tightly. She knew that every word they spoke carried weight. They were no longer just whispers of discontent, they were thunderous declarations. She turned her head, taking in the faces around her neighbors, friends, each person about to risk their own peace for what they believed. The enormity of their shared act made her pulse race. Together. We can't back down now. Sophia's voice rang clear. But as if the universe had a different plan, a grim silence suddenly fell upon the crowd, pierced only by the light rustling of leaves in the breeze. Clara had taken a step forward, each movement slow and deliberate, her eyes gleaming like polished stones. Do you realize what you are doing? She shouted, her voice booming, facade an artfully crafted veneer of authority. You think standing here will change anything? You're only making it worse for yourselves. Emma felt her heart drop for a moment. Clara was playing her final card. As the crowd wavered in response to the threat, she knew they needed a reminder of why they started this fight. Quickly, she stepped forward again, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face, channeling the energy of those behind her. "We're not afraid of you anymore," Emma called out, her voice strong against the cool air. "You think that you can use your power against us? We are people with families, dreams, and life. You can't take that away from us." A ripple of murmur spread through the crowd, then gathered like storm clouds, intensifying the atmosphere around them. Emma could see the flash of recognition in their eyes as they absorbed her words. Community, a collection of lives bound by shared struggles, was stronger than Clara's wealth and facade. "Your threats are empty." Sophia chimed in, her voice rising as she moved to stand shoulder to shoulder with Emma. "We are united in this battle, and nothing can break our spirit." Filled with newfound fervor, the crowd began to chant again, the noise rising, swelling like a wave crashing against a stony shore. Yet in that moment of unity, an unsettling realization gripped Emma's heart. Clara wasn't just a petty tyrant, she was a woman with resources, connections, and the kind of reach that could extend beyond their little town. What if she unleashed something terrible in retaliation? But before Emma could wallow in fear, an idea sparked in her mind. They had to prepare for what was coming. The battle didn't end here. They needed a plan, allies, and most importantly, courage to face whatever storm Clara would summon. As the chants continued, Emma felt a flicker of profound hope igniting inside her. This wasn't just about standing up against Clara's tyranny, it was about finding the strength to rise up together and support one another in the face of adversity. They were vulnerable, yes, but also resilient, ready to challenge the status quo. "What will we do next?" Emma asked Sophia, momentarily stepping away from the crowd to speak in hushed tones. Sophia met her gaze steadily, determination shimmering behind her eyes. "We need to gather more support. We can reach out to those outside our community." But before Sophia could finish, the ground beneath them shook slightly. A low rumble echoed through the air, raising every hair on the back of Emma's neck. It came from a parked car that suddenly roared to life, its engine sputtering angrily as if signifying the chaotic alliance they had stirred. What was that? Someone yelled from the crowd. Emma's heart pounded faster. They were being watched. Clenching her jaw, she realized that this fight was far from over, and they might face far greater opposition than they ever anticipated. "Let us keep gathering," Emma shouted, her voice now tinged with urgency. "We need to be ready for Clara's next move." As the crowd shifted uneasily, Emma took a deep breath. Whatever was to come next, she would face it head-on, battling the fear that clawed at her gut. But who would join them, and what would Clara unleash against them? Emma's heart raced with a mix of dread and determination. The air buzzed with tension, anxiety hanging like an unseen weight above the crowd. Emma shifted her gaze back to the faces around her, each one taut with anticipation and uncertainty. The earlier bravado was now tempered by the echo of Clara's threat. What had they truly stirred? "Are we really ready for whatever she sends our way?" someone muttered nearby. Emma recognized Pedro, an outspoken father of three who often rallied alongside them in town meetings. His voice was steady but tinged with doubt. "Yes," Emma asserted, trying to project the confidence she felt faltering within her. "We have to be ready to adapt. We're strong together, and she can't take that away." "We can't back down now," Sophia echoed, her voice stirring the crowd's resolve. Behind them, the first hints of sunset cast a warm glow that danced across the group. It was a reminder every end held a new beginning. Suddenly, the parked car's engine roared again, a growl that felt daring and defiant. The crowd flinched, and a few people stepped back, eyes wide with confusion and fear. Emma glanced toward the vehicle, realizing it wasn't just any car. It was Clara's. "Stay strong," Emma called out, raising her fists in the air. This one tea break us. The crowd hesitated but then began to chant once more. The sound soared, trembling through the trees, rising up towards the deepening sky as if daring whatever threat Clara posed to show itself. Just as momentum lifted, chills ran down Emma's spine. A voice rang out, cutting through the noise. Do you really think this will change anything? Clara's cold, cutting tone restored a chilling silence. She emerged from the car, finely tailored suit sharp against the backdrop of a fading sun, her presence commanding the attention of every heart. You think your little rebellion is something? Remember who holds the power. Emma felt the heat surge in her chest. Clara, we're not afraid of you anymore. But doubt crept again, whispering that perhaps they were in over their heads. Afraid? You really don't understand. Clara's voice crackled with authority, a smile forming on her lips that was anything but warm. You don't know what I am capable of. But maybe I should show you. Just then, a loud crash sounded in the background. Emma's heart jumped as she turned to see the glass door of Clara's mansion shattering, fragments glinting in the twilight. Gasps filled the crowd. What the hell was that? One woman shouted, panic rising like the swell of a tide. Clara's house. Is she trying to intimidate us? Someone else questioned, fear bright in their eyes. We need to regroup. Emma urged, her voice cutting through the confusion. They couldn't let despair take root. Let us meet up later. We'll strategize, connect with anyone who could stand with us. We need every hand we can get. Sophia nodded, determination backlit by fire. I'll reach out to the community leaders, gather intel. We need to know what Clara might do next. As the crowd began to disperse, a mix of anxious glances and steadfast resolve lingered in the air. Emma felt buoyed by the prospect of allies beyond the immediate circle, people they hadn't even considered yet. Then the weight of uncertainty hit her again. What if Clara's retaliation was worse than they imagined? Silently, she chided herself for letting fear creep back into her thoughts. No more backing down. Bring it on, she whispered to herself, a quiet promise forged in her heart. But deep beneath the surface, she knew the fight they faced wouldn't just be against Clara. It was a struggle against the very fear that had held them captive for too long, and as Emma stepped away, heart pounding with both dread and anticipation, a single question loomed. What allies awaited them in the shadows of their silent fight? As night enveloped the town, the stillness felt both eerie and heavy. Emma reached the safety of her home, her pulse racing. The thought of Clara loomed, vivid and threatening. She paced the kitchen, her mind a whirlwind of plans and concerns. Would Clara come for them? Her phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was a message from Sophia. I talked to Mrs. Ramirez. She has connections in the city. If we need help, she can rally people quickly. The relief washed over Emma like a cool breeze. Each connection, each ally mattered more than ever. Nodding to herself, she replied immediately, her hands buzzing with energy, that's perfect. Let us meet tomorrow morning. As the night deepened, her thoughts kept drifting back to the shattered glass door. Was it a warning or just a distraction? Clara was unpredictable, and that was dangerous. Emma had seen the way power twisted intentions. She couldn't afford to underestimate her. The flicker of the kettle snapped her back. She poured herself a cup of tea, letting the warmth seep into her fingers. It was a moment to breathe, a moment of solitude before the storm. The soft hum of the tea kettle mingled with her racing heart. Part of her wanted to indulge in fear and uncertainty, but that wasn't an option anymore. The rebellion had sparked something within her, igniting a strength she hadn't realized she possessed. Suddenly, a knock on the door broke through her thoughts. Startled, she set her cup down and opened it cautiously. Her neighbor Linda stood there, eyes wide with apprehension. Emma, I saw something strange from my window, she whispered urgently. People are gathering near the park. They're talking about something. Maybe it's Clara. Emma's stomach twisted. How many? Quite a few. I think they're readying for something. It didn't feel good, Emma. Fear gnawed at her insides, but Emma pushed it away. We have to show them we're not backing down. Come with me. Together, they stepped out into the cool night. The moon cast an eerie glow over the street as they hurried to the park, each step echoing against the gravel like a countdown to something inevitable. As they approached, the murmur of voices became clearer, a mix of misunderstanding and anger. Emma's heart sank at the sight of Clara's supporters. They looked almost menacing, standing together as a strong wall against any dissent. Let us try to reach out to them, Emma said, grabbing Linda's arm. They might just need some guidance. Maybe some of them don't even realize the truth. But before they could make their way forward, a figure stepped into the light. It was Clara, looking every bit the queen she aspired to be. What a surprise, she called out, eyes darting toward Emma and Linda. It seems my little message reached you after all. Emma glared back, refusing to let Clara's smugness intimidate her. This isn't over. We're stronger than you think. Clara's laughter echoed through the park, cold and chilling. Oh, sweet Emma, you really have no idea. You're simply fueling a fire you can't control. Emma's heart raced. The crowd's energy shifted, confusion palpable as whispered conversations flitted by. She pushed back the fear and stepped forward. If you're here to intimidate us, you're wasting your time. We stand together, stronger than ever. The tension snapped thick in the air. Clara's eyes narrowed, sparkles of anger flaring within her. Then prepare yourself, because it's about to get very interesting. Emma felt the crowd shift behind her, those who come with unhappy hearts now faltering between loyalty to Clara and the fight for something deeper. Would they join her, or remain steadfast in their allegiance to fear? As the darkness settled around them, Emma's mind raced. What had she really ignited? What battles lay ahead? And as Clara cast a menacing glance over the crowd, Emma wondered if strength was enough to guard them against the impending storm. Would they rise together? What would be their next move? The air buzzed with a tense anticipation that weighed heavy on Emma's shoulders. The flickering streetlights cast strange shadows, highlighting the uncertainty that colored the faces around her. She could feel their eyes, a mix of respect, curiosity, and doubt, pivoting between her and Clara. Emma swallowed hard, heart racing as she focused on the small group gathered near her, hoping to solidify their bond in this chaos. Clara's grin was wicked, like a cat toying with her prey. Look at this, people. Emma thinks she can challenge me. Isn't that adorable? Her laughter echoed, cutting through the murmurs of the crowd, eliciting a few snickers. Emma clenched her fists, holding back the torrent of frustration building within her. You all know deep down that what Clara offers isn't strength, it's fear. We don't have to live like this, she said, voice steady despite her trembling hands. We can create a place where we stand for each other, not against one another. Some in the crowd exchanged glances, a flicker of acknowledgement aligning among them. Emma's determination surged, bolstered by the glimmers of hope she spotted in their eyes. We've seen her methods. Control, manipulation. Do we want to end up like that? Or do we want to fight for a future? Clara stepped forward, eyes narrowing. And what future is that? Full of chaos. You can't make promises you can't keep. Emma pressed on. No. But together, we can make choices that shape our destiny. You felt it too, the weight of Clara's reign, the feeling of helplessness. We don't have to accept it. The crowd was shifting now, murmurs growing louder. Clara's facade cracked ever so slightly, her poise faltering as uncertainty rippled through her followers. Emma didn't let up. If we stand together, we can build something new. It won't be easy, but every one of us can make a difference. Will you help me to take that step? A voice from the back broke through, thick with doubt yet resonating with something deeper. But what if she turns on us? He won't, someone else countered. We've seen what she has done. This has to change. Emma held her breath, the thread of connection weaving between her words and the hesitant hearts she could see. We don't need to fear her anymore. We can take a stand together. Without warning, Clara's expression hardened, her confidence replaced by an icy glare. You think this is a game? I can show you what true power looks like. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. Emma stood tall, chest rising and falling in rapid breaths, every heartbeat matching her resolve. She felt her hands buzzing with energy, filled with the kind of power that came from unity and shared purpose. Then show us. She shouted, inviting Clara's challenge with courage she didn't fully feel. Let this be about strength, not control. In that moment, the air crackled with tension, the choice laid bare before them all. Clara's supporters were at a crossroads, and the spark of rebellion ignited with Emma as its beacon, yet, just as the faces began to brighten with agreement, Clara raised her hand, silencing the crowd with a chilling calmness. You'll regret this. Mark my words. I will not let this go unchallenged. Emma's heart raced. She couldn't shake the ominous weight of Clara's threat, knowing danger lurked just beyond the park's well-lit borders. The tension settled like fog, thick and suffocating, yet Emma refused to back down. Would her words resonate? Would this spark feed a fire strong enough to withstand the storm Clara threatened? As she locked eyes with Clara, both women stood on the brink of an irreversible change. Emma felt something shift within her, a deep-rooted belief that they had only just begun to unravel Clara's grip. What awaited them when the dawn broke? Would they face a dangerous retaliation or emerge stronger than before? The crowd hung in the balance, their breaths caught between fear and hope. Emma could feel the weight of their decision pressing down on her, an almost electric tension radiating from Clara's icy glare. Clara's laughter still echoed in her ears, but Emma now had a purpose that burned brighter. In a moment of bravery, she lifted her chin, ready to lead, ready to confront whatever Clara had in store for them next. Are you with me? Emma called out, her voice stronger this time, slicing through the fog of doubt. She watched as faces turned toward one another, searching for signs of courage, a hint of agreement. One by one, nods began to emerge. Fingers gripped the edges of jackets, and in that small movement, Emma saw a shift. A connection formed, a collective heartbeat pulsing in unison, then Clara's voice, sharp and cold, pierced the atmosphere. Fools! You think you can just band together and defy me? I control everything you hold dear. I can take it all away in an instant. Emma could see the wavering certainty in Clara's followers. Their eyes darted around, absorbing the threat that hung heavy in the air. Emma's heart thudded in her chest. No one lives in fear forever. We can make a choice right now. This is our moment to be more than just pawns in Clara's game. Suddenly, a figure stepped forward. It was Jasper, his brow furrowed with concern, but a flicker of determination flashed in his eyes. I'm tired of being scared. If we lose everything, I want it to be because we stood together, not because we cowered in the shadows. Who's willing to step into the light? Me. A voice rippled from the back. It was Julia, one of Clara's formerly loyal followers. She stepped out, her frame trembling yet resolute. I'm done hiding. It's time to support each other for once. Emma felt a swell of gratitude, hope blossoming as more voices joined in. Together. Let us fight. For us. The crowd began to pulse with energy. Each shout was like a hammer against Clara's dominion, weakening her chokehold on the group, but Clara's expression only darkened, her lips pulling back into a snarl. This is a mistake you will all regret. I give you everything, and you're willing to throw it all away. Enjoy your fantasy while it lasts. Emma could feel the tide steadily shifting. Clara was losing her grip. Your threats mean nothing to us anymore. Emma shouted, the adrenaline coursing through her veins in waves of strength. You're not as powerful as we've given you credit for. The crowd cheered, rising in spirit. Emma scanned their faces, each showing a blend of fear and defiance, people ready to reclaim their lives. Then suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the edge of the park. The sound shattered the moment, sending everyone's attention frantically towards the darkness. Fear ripped through the air like a sudden storm. What was that? A voice cried out, panic creeping into the crowd. Clara's amusement shifted to a thinly masked fury. Do you think I'll let you succeed without a fight? No one knew what awaited them from the shadows. Emma's heart pounded. The storm had arrived, but she wouldn't let it drown them. She took a deep breath, grounding herself. We stand together, no matter what happens next. But deep in her gut, she wondered what dark forces Clara had set in motion to retaliate. What would they face next? As the tension mounted, it was clear that their fight was far from over. Would they finally dismantle Clara's hold or face a darkness they weren't prepared for? The crowd's collective gasp vibrated through the air, an ominous echo that stilled the buzzing energy Emma had worked so hard to ignite. She turned her attention back to the shadows where the crash had come from. The fear in the faces around her felt palpable like static on her skin. Stay calm. Emma shouted, each word punctuating the air. Whatever comes, we face it together. A shuffling sound emerged, branches snapping underfoot. Emma squinted, trying to peer through the darkness. Her heart raced, it felt as if it were drumming on her ribs, begging to be released from the confines of her body. And then, from the gloom, figures began to materialize, each one cloaked in tension and uncertainty. Jasper shuffled closer to her side, his eyes wide, scanning the scene. What do we do if it's, he trailed off, unable to finish the thought. Whatever it is, we stand strong, Emma insisted, forcing her own confidence into her voice, even as the ground beneath her seemed to tremble. It was then that Clara raised her arm, a swift motion that seemed to freeze everyone in place. Watch this. Fashion over courage as always, she sneered, her voice drenching the air with disdain. Emma's stomach twisted. Clara's confidence was intoxicating, dangerous. The shadows deepened, and with them emerged the figures Clara had summoned, her loyal minions that had once held power over the group. One, a towering brute with a snarl etched deep into his features, stepped forward. Emma felt a wave of fear wash over the crowd. The man turned his gaze to Clara, awaiting commands. Show them what happens when you stand up to me. Clara shouted, her own face alight with fury. Make them understand their place. Before Emma could respond, the brute lunged towards a younger girl who had taken her place near the front. Emma felt a surge of protectiveness ignite within her, but it wasn't just for the girl, it was for everyone standing alongside her. In that moment, she understood. They weren't just fighting for their lives but for a sense of belonging, for their right to exist without fear. Stop! She yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos like a knife. If you think we're going to let you tear us apart, you're mistaken. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices melding into a formidable roar. But Clara's men, fueled by rage and her commands, advanced. Emma's heart raced as she felt the weight of responsibility pressing against her chest. With every step closer they came, she could see fear etched over the faces of her friends, the ones she had just inspired. Everyone! Back! Emma shouted, and as they stepped back, she moved forward, standing resolutely in front of the girl who had cowered. No more, she whispered, mostly to herself. She felt a warmth spread through her chest, a fire igniting in her core. We're done being afraid. This is our moment. Then, without even thinking, she raised her arms, palms open to embrace the shadows that threatened them. Suddenly, a bright light blazed from behind her. Emma jerked her head around to see Jasper and beside him, Julia holding their phones high, their screens illuminating the dark. Together. They shouted, their voices mingling with the others, creating a chorus of defiance. The shadows faltered, confusion bubbling in Clara's minions. They hadn't anticipated this surge of resistance, this eruption of unity and light. Clara's eyes flared with rage. You fools! You'll regret this. But Emma's heart soared. For the first time, it felt like they might actually have a chance if only they could maintain the momentum. As the minion hesitated, a deep rumble shook the earth beneath their feet, drawing the crowd's focus back to the encroaching darkness. What else is coming? Emma wondered, anxiety sparking within her. The true reckoning felt imminent, and she clenched her fists, determined to be ready. The crowd was still shouting, emboldened and fierce, but in the back of her mind, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it for better or worse. But one question echoed louder than the rest: how much darker could it get before they found the light? The ground continued to tremble, a visceral reminder that the chaos was far from over. Emma stood firm, her body a barrier between the advancing brute and the terrified girl behind her. She felt the electricity in the air, a charge that spoke of impending danger but also of hope. "Keep the lights up!" Emma shouted, her voice breaking through the haze of fear that cloaked the crowd. "Don't back down. We're stronger together." In the flickering glow of their phones, she saw determination creeping back into the faces of her friends. It wasn't just the light they held, it was the unified spirit that began to weave through everyone like a tether. Clara, red-faced and furious, tightened her fist. She could sense the tide turning, and a desperate, cold thrill shot through her. "You think this makes you brave?" she spat. "You're just playing games. This is my domain." But Emma didn't falter. "It's not just your domain anymore, Clara. This space belongs to all of us now." With a sudden snarl, the brute lunged again, but this time, Emma was ready. She pulled the girl closer, instinctively shielding her. "Stay with me," she whispered, as she took a deep breath. Time slowed as the brute's massive form soared through the air. Emma, at that moment, felt a strange calm. She stepped to the side, intuitive and fluid, and watched as he crashed into the ground behind her, the earth shaking violently around them. The crowd gasped again, but this time there was also a hint of exhilaration behind their fear. "Now!" Jasper called out, pumping his fist in the air, and the crowd echoed, "Now!" With renewed vigor, everyone surged forward, their phones ablaze, casting flickering shadows against the trees. It was beautiful, a symphony of light and hope. Clara staggered back, confusion washing over her face. "What are you doing?" she screamed. "You're all going to regret this." "But we won." Julia countered, her voice strong. "You don't scare us anymore." And it was true. The fear that once gripped Emma's heart began to melt away, replaced by a fierce, unyielding strength that surged through her and into her friends. They were no longer just a group, they were a family, united in defiance. The brute regained his footing and charged again. Emma's heart raced as she saw him barreling toward them. But this time, she wasn't alone. Behind her, Jasper and Julia stepped forward, courageous fires in their eyes. "We're with you," they shouted. "Together." Emma commanded, feeling their unity form an impenetrable barrier. They shouted as one, their voices ringing across the clearing. The brute halted, confusion etched on his face as he faced an unexpected wave of determination. Then, in an instant, something shifted. Clara, her bravado crumbling, took a step back, glancing nervously at her own minions. Her once loyal crew appeared hesitant, glancing at each other as if questioning their allegiance. "Clara, this isn't right," one of them muttered, lowering his gaze as shame washed over him. Emma's heart soared. This was the crack they needed. "You have the power to choose," she yelled, her voice strong and fierce. "Join us, leave the darkness behind." A murmur rippled through Clara's minions. Uncertainty filled the air like thick fog. With their leader faltering, Emma felt the tide truly beginning to turn. As she held her breath, waiting for the next move, she realized that the light they had generated was not just about the bright screens or the momentary applause. It was about transformation, about forging a path from fear to hope, and fighting for what truly mattered, each other. but then she noticed Clara's expression sharpening. The anger returned, and she grinned wickedly. "You think this is the end? You have no idea what I'm capable of." Emma felt a shiver run down her spine. She grasped the girl's hand tighter, bracing for whatever might come next. What had Clara unleashed? And what darkness loomed, now that the stakes had risen higher than ever before? Emma realized that this fight was only just beginning. The tension in the air felt electric, and as Clara's threats hung like a dark cloud above them, Emma squeezed the girl's hand tighter. "We're not afraid of you, Clara," Emma shouted, her voice breaking through the swelling noise of uncertainty. A wave of courage surged through the crowd, igniting a fierce glow in their hearts. Clara, now desperate, shouted back, "You're all deluding yourselves. You really think this makes you powerful? Watch how quickly I dismantle this little rebellion." Her words crackled with malice and empty promises. But instead of shrinking back, Emma felt the strength of solidarity rallying around her, igniting a fire within the group. "Together," Emma urged, raising her voice. "If we stand as one, we can face any darkness she throws at us." The crowd nodded in agreement, each face lit with newfound hope, radiating a spirit unbroken by Clara's intimidation, and then came the sound. A sudden crack, louder than any before. The shadowy figures that were once Clara's silent enforcers seemed to wobble, falter, uncertainty washing over their faces. Emma watched with anticipation as one stepped forward, jaw tight, the ghost of doubt etched into their features. "Clara, this isn't what I signed up for," one muttered, pulling away from Clara's side. It was a crack, a fracture in the system she had built on fear. "Maybe it's time we listen to what Emma has to say." The others looked around, some nodding, others still hesitant. Emma took a chance, stepping forward, her heart racing. "You don't have to live in fear anymore. You have a choice, just like we do. Join us." The words broke the illusion of power that Clara had spun around them. With a flicker of hope spiraling through the crowd, they began to echo Emma's sentiments. Together, they shouted in unison, and the sound was like a tidal wave crashing over Clara's fragile facade. Realizing she was losing control, Clara's anger spewed. "You think this changes anything? I will make you all pay for this betrayal." But her bluster was a feeble shield, crumbling under the strength of their unity. "Don't let her scare you," Emma called, feeling the warmth of support swelling around her. "Fear is contagious, but so is courage. Clara's power lies in our fear, let's take that away." The shadows behind Clara were wavering, the grumbling tension among her minions weaving uncertainty into the air. Emma could see Clara's confidence cracking, the once untouchable queen of this domain now feeling the heat of revolt. Just as Clara moved to retaliate, Emma's courage soared higher. "This is about more than survival. It's about dignity. We deserve that." And with that declaration, something remarkable happened. The minions began to lower their hands, expressions shifting. They were no longer the automated goons of fear, they were people with lives and loved ones who could stand together as one. Then, as if the universe shifted, Julia stepped up beside Emma, her face open and raw. "We're done being controlled," she added, voice steady. "Every single one of us deserves a future that isn't clouded by threats." The crowd's voices chained together, laying down the fear they had carried for too long. Rumbles of dissent echoed through the masses, while Clara's face twisted in shock. She couldn't hold them like puppets anymore, the facade had shattered. "Enough!" Clara shouted, voice cracking as she stumbled backward, and Emma pressed on. "Enough of the lies! Enough of the heartache!" One by one, Clara's minions stepped back, retreating from her command, the spell of fear that had once held them captive now a distant memory. "I'm done being scared," one finally confessed, joining Emma's side. And another one followed. "Let us stand together." With each person uniting around Emma, Clara's eyes widened in disbelief. "You will all regret this." But Emma stood strong, heart full. "No, Clara. We're ready to make our own choices now. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. They had become a force, a community. At last, Clara's mask slipped completely, fear painting her features starkly. This isn't over. She spat, but even. Her words lacked conviction. She turned on her heels and fled toward the shadows, no longer the tyrant but a haunted figure retreating into darkness. Emma felt her heart racing, a crescendo of triumph mingling with cautious optimism. This was just the beginning. She shouted, and the crowd erupted. As cheers of victory reverberated through the air, Emma knew a shift had happened. Each person had reclaimed their voice, their power, and the weight of oppression had been lifted. Hope replaced fear as they embraced one another, faces gleaming with renewed purpose. In that moment, together, they stood united, a community forged in defiance, ready to face whatever lay ahead. "We did it!" someone shouted, and the chant of "We are unstoppable" filled the air, dancing into the night. Emma felt overwhelming gratitude flooding her heart. They had transformed not just from fear to courage, but into a family bound by shared strength. And as they dispersed, Emma looked at the faces surrounding her, radiant smiles, tears of joy, and nods of resolve bathed in the moonlight. Today wasn't just about defeating Clara, it was a testament to every person who had held on through hardships, binding them together in this moment of triumph. This was their time to rise, their time to thrive, and they would not look back. With hearts full of hope, they turned toward the dawn, ready to embrace the future. If they could face the worst and dance back from the brink, then together, they could achieve anything. Now the world awaited their next chapter. Before we end this incredible journey, remember to support our community. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your love for this journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread this wave of hope far and wide. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Together, we rise.